Welcome back to another episode of Fifth Block Sports. Today is Monday, December 19th. I'm Zach. I'm here with Jalen, and Ashton. Like usual, and like I said, today's Monday. That means one thing. It's NFL Breakdown Day. This weekend turned out to be one of the most exciting weekends in the NFL by far. Week 15 of the 2022 season had a bunch of games. Throwing a little fun fact, all 15 games were decided by 11 points or fewer. 12 of the 15 were decided by one score. We've got a lot to cover, a lot going on. Let's get this thing rolling. Again, this is Monday's episode of Fifth Block Sports, episode 6, I believe. We're on a roll. And if you haven't already, please head over to Twitter, give us a follow, retweet. We're going to be posting more tweets, more bits. Please interact with us. And also you can go over to gonorthman.org, listen to our podcast. I know you're probably watching on YouTube. You can listen to our podcast. Also check out the CHOP podcast. It's the All Oak Park exclusive sports podcast. They're doing great things over there. They love talking about Oak Park athletics. We're just along for the ride. So please check them out. They're doing great things. But, back to what we're here for. It's Fifth Block Sports NFL Monday Breakdown. So let's get started. We had 3 games on Saturday, which we did our pick'em on. We're going to start with the Colts-Vikings game. Wow. Overtime win for the Vikings. That was Colts 36, Vikings 39 in overtime. So I saw the halftime score. I watched about till halftime, 33-0 in Indianapolis. I'm like, okay, the Vikings didn't show up. Surprise, surprise. Kirk Cousins, doesn't look good right now. So my fiance and I said, let's go see Avatar, Way of Water. And if you haven't seen it, go see it. It's an awesome movie. Go see it in the biggest screen, use the 3D, do all that. Great movie. So shout out Avatar, Way of Water. Thoroughly enjoyed that. So I'm going to turn it to you guys. What do you guys think of this game? I missed the whole second half. So I got out of the movie and saw that the Vikings somehow came back and won. Jalen, what you got?
I'm like you. I was watching till the first half, and then the second half, I was like, I might just turn this off. The Colts got it. Then I come back, I turn the channel. I'm like, wait, what? The Vikings back in it? Because I think it was. I turned back to the channel. It was the Dalvin Cook score. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what? And then the Vikings just kept rolling. But I'm like, how do you get back this much points up? When you're up like that.
And it was kind of like a fluky first half, too. You had a blocked punt in there. You had an interception for a pick six. You had the fumble with the Dalvin Cook after his long run. And so, the Colts somewhat earned these points, but at the same time, they were kind of lucky breaks. You had Taylor going out early with the ankle injury, so not impactful there. Ashton, what do you see from this game? Any comments, any notes from what turns out to be the largest comeback in NFL history from the Vikings?
Well, just like you guys, I turned it off. I was getting ready to go to the K-State game. But what I did see, both defenses suck.
Yeah, it was a tale of two halves. One defense was really bad in the first half, and then the other defense was just atrocious in the second half.
And I think KJ Osborne played really well. That whole offense in the second half played really well. Kurt did well. Matt Ryan is hopefully going to retire this year.
And to that point, the Vikings look different when they include other people besides Jefferson in the offense. And I know Jalen's been preaching it for a while. It can't be a one-man show. And, they kind of showed that in the second half. Kirk Cousins throwing for over 400 yards and a half. That's unbelievable. And then Ashton, brought up Matt Ryan. Poor Matt Ryan. He's been shadowed by that 28-3 score in the Super Bowl. People won't talk about that anymore. The problem is they're going to talk about a 33-0 lead kind of evaporating.
You know what the crazy thing is his nickname.
Matty Ice.
Matty Ice.
Matty Ice. And, he turned into ice that second half. At what point on the Indianapolis sideline do you just say, you know what? We're just going to run the ball and kind of constrict this clock.
That's what I was thinking. They could be more conservative. Just run the ball.
I feel like they could have run on every single play in the second half, bled the clock all the way down to 0 every play, and just run out the clock.
There's no need to even.
There's no need to score.
Put yourself in that position.
No.
There's a ton.
ton.
Yeah.
There's a time to be aggressive, but I think that after that, when you came out, you should have just been conservative.
Yeah.
Run the
And
ball.
Just run the ball.
And that's the thing with Jeff Saturday and people making he isn't really a head coach.
Yeah. Yeah.
And stuff like that.
The interesting thing too is, you talk about Jeff Saturday not being that kind of head coach figure and kind of going with the punches, but he's got a staff around him. John Fox has been there before. He knows football, but at the same time, like, how does he not step in and be like, hey, we got to change something up?
So I think a big problem is the respect that, like you were talking about, that staff. One of them should have gotten the job, not Jeff Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's a little like they're all like,
It's almost
Not-
like a little rebuttal against him. Like,
not one of us didn't get the job, but this no guy
outside figure. Yep.
who only played center for us is the guy that got the job.
Mm-hmm. So again, that was one of the most exciting games of the Saturday slate. Vikings 39, Colts 36 in overtime. The
You saw
next,
that, you
go
saw
ahead.
That route that Jay Jettis put on Stephon Gilmore.
He's unbelievable.
That was
He's unbelievable. Guy makes plays week in and week out. Week in and week out.
I think that's where they got their momentum. That touchdown.
Yeah. It always starts with something, and I think you're right. That you could feel the tides kind of turning there, and then obviously the Dalvin Cook run was explosive and set that place ablaze. Again, Vikings 39, Colts 36. Next game, and I think everyone is okay with this game being a dud, was the Browns 13, the Ravens 3. I think everyone needed a kind of relaxing game after that Vikings game. Not much offense here. The Ravens had a chance, a couple times to get themselves back in it, but Tyler Huntley is not good. He's 2-5 as a starter. He threw a crucial interception there to start the third quarter. Just a bad interception. Yeah, bad interception. Browns did enough. It was kind of an game with rain, sleet, kind of snow mixture. Again, both offenses didn't do much at all.
I didn't watch it down to the game.
I maybe watched one red zone play, and that's about it.
I had a great time on the K-State game.
There you go.
Yeah, I saw the run Deshaun Watson had.
Yeah, that was about it. That was all I saw from that game. I was like, all right, Browns won by 10, 13-3. So, yeah, quick one there. Browns 13, Ravens 3. The next game, that Saturday night game. What a thriller. Buffalo 32, Miami 29. Old Buffalo, I think, came out and showed who they were. Josh Allen kind of putting the team on his back there late with that monster run to get him in. I think they were down 29-21 at the time. He broke off a 40-plus yard run to get him in the red zone. Ended up scoring. Miami came in with a run game and came in with a scheme to kind of use the run game first, get play action, and get to an opportunity to throw the ball. And it was working. It looked good. I mean, they ate up clock against Buffalo. They hung around. I mean, they were trading blows all night with Buffalo. And then, you have Josh Allen doing Josh Allen things. He's a good quarterback. He's like that Mahomes effect. He's going to make one of those big plays every once in a while. Real magical with the snow coming in. I mean, real snow globe. I know everyone is expecting a lot of snow to start the game. I turned that one on. There's no snow. I'm like, oh, no snow? Are you kidding me? But then once that snow came in, you could feel the whole city of Buffalo rise up like this is our time.
Bro, there was crazy people. No people out there with no shirts on. I'm
Going
like,
nuts.
The snowballs.
Yeah.
Snowballs were wild. And
They threw that at the cameraman. I'm like, what's going on?
I saw that.
so here's my question on the snowball. So they warn the stadium, if you throw snowballs on the field, it's going to be a 15-yard penalty. If I'm a Miami fan and I'm there, I'm chucking as many as I can. They're not going to be like, oh, is that Miami guy right there? Miami's going to get the penalty. They're going to flag Buffalo for it. But
There was 3 Miami fans there.
yeah, yeah, and it's like putting a cupcake in front of a toddler and being like, I'm going to leave the room. Don't touch the cupcake.
And to be fair, in Bills Mafia, if you throw it, you're in the middle of Bill fans and you throw a snowball as a Dolphins fan.
Oh, you're getting pelted. And so they left all this snow underneath everyone, and I saw Twitter posts and shots of people just making snowballs and having 15 in front of them, just ready to go. And I'm like, I mean, you can't.
I love when they celebrated it on the touchdown.
Yes, that was good. Again, that was a thrilling game. Bills clinch a playoff spot, I believe, right? They don't have the division
Yes,
yet, but
did
they're
clinch
in the
They
playoffs.
clinched the playoff spot. Yeah, I would say this was probably the best game. This was my favorite game of the week. I love this. And also, what I want to give credit for, as you were talking about, Raheem Mostert had a great game. Just the fact that they were able to run as well as they did against this team.
Yeah.
Because this has been a team where a lot of guys have struggled to run against them, and they made it look easy. They looked like they were running against nobodies really. Like they did amazing this week. Raheem Mostert, 17 carries, 136 yards, 60 his long was 67 yards. So yeah, I was just going to say like they did really good here. Jalen Waddle. Only 3 receptions. He had 114 yards, which is good, obviously, but only 3 receptions. And he had a lot of those yards because on one play he just broke out and got the touchdown.
Was he in and out of that? I feel like he went to the tent maybe at one point.
Yeah, he was a little
shaken up.
Yeah, he was a little in and out of the game, but just not being able to use everyone. And Trent Sherfield, he dropped a freaking easy one in the end zone for a touchdown. And also, what I'd like to say, I think if it doesn't snow, I think the Dolphins win. Because the snow, whenever it snowed,
it changed everything.
Everything changed.
Yeah. Fans came to life. They were already in it, but you could tell as soon as that snow rolled in, it kind of gave them second energy. And like you said, the Dolphins, I think, had a great plan. You know, the narrative all week was, can Miami travel? Can they play in cold weather? I think they handled it perfect. I mean, smash mouth football. They took it right to the Bills. They ran the ball hard, and then they gave Tua opportunities to use, a bootleg or a play action to get his receivers the ball, which he was able to do. I would agree. I think this game, the Vikings games, it was almost like 2 games in one, but this was the most complete game of the weekend.
And props on Miami defense. Props to Jalen Phillips. He played really well. Off the edge, disrupted the guys a lot. He got some good tackles, some clutch tackles.
He had a strip sack as well.
Yes,
he forced fumble, I think.
And then on the Bills side, amazing game by Tre'Davious White.
Yeah.
He was amazing. He made some great stops. So, yeah.
It was like a 33. It was an out route to Jalen Waddle. He stopped it.
That's probably why Jalen didn't have so many catches.
Yeah.
Tre'Davious was.
I want to go back to what y'all was saying. That run game I think it was really helping Miami. I saw the one play where Raheem Mostert, I think it's an outside zone to the right. He was running down the sideline. I think he broke like 4 tackles. I think it was his big run that was crazy.
Yeah, he ran the ball well, and we haven't seen that out of Miami a lot this year just because they have the deep threats in Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. But I think they established that run game like they did against Buffalo. They could be scary in the playoffs because you got to now play both the run and the pass, and if you get sucked up in the run, they've got some dudes that can burn you on the back end quick. So again, that was Bills 32, Dolphins 29 in what I think we're deeming the game of the weekend here. Most complete game. Another good one I think that's right up there is as we move into Sunday's games, we had Cowboys 34, Jags 40. Look at these guys, both shaking their heads. I picked the Jags. They chose the Cowboys. They're mad about it. I told you this Jags team had something going for them. They've been feisty. Cowboys coming off that close game with Houston. They just kind of hung around long enough. And Trevor Lawrence had a great game. He's starting to look like the quarterback that people are comparing. He's the next Peyton Manning. He's the next Drew Brees, that kind of general behind, his offensive line and can really get the ball to receivers. And that's what he did today. I think he stuck with it. They stuck with their game plan, and they kept battling all the way to the end. They got the field goal to send it to overtime, and then kind of a crazy play in overtime, the pick six to kind of walk it off on a Do you count that as a drop? Do you count it as just kind of an odd play?
I think he could have caught it.
I think he could have caught it. It would have been a tough catch, a nice catch if he would have completed it. And the ball bounces one way in one game and another in this one, and it happens to pop right up to a defender and ball game. So, what do you guys get out of this Cowboys-Jags game? I know you guys are defeated off the pick'em, but
like you said, the Jags is a scary team, but. I thought Cowboys had it because it was like 21-7, and I was watching it for a little because I was moving back and forth through the Chiefs game.
Yeah.
I was watching it was like 21-7. I was like, the Cowboys got it. Turn back, and it's like tied up in overtime. I'm like, come on. Then I see Dak throw the pick. I'm like, Oh man, I thought someone was gonna bring him down.
Game
I'm like,
over.
Did you guys get the Dallas Jacksonville game?
I did.
I just got it on Red Zone.
I didn't get it. Okay, but anyways, man, every day I become less and less believable, and Dak can lead this team to it.
And they're hurt. And that was my question I have is it seems like Dallas is going to do Dallas thing, gets bounced out from the playoffs early. They're beat up, they're hurt, and I hate to say it, Cowboys, but everyone has injuries. It's not just you. You can't use that, year in and year out. Oh, we're beat up. Oh, injuries preventing us from doing this and doing that. How far do you see this team making it in the playoffs?
I see like the second round. Yeah, I see the second round, but I'm tired of Cowboys fans. Oh, this is our year. This is our year.
Say it every year. This is our year.
It's the same thing. This is our year.
I say right now they'd be playing.
So who would they match up
They
with?
play San Francisco again.
Okay.
Oh, no, they'd play Tampa Bay. I'd go Tampa Bay with that one. I'd go Tampa Bay.
So they're losing in the first round then?
First round.
I wouldn't be surprised. I'm with Jalen here. I think they somehow win the first round game, but then get bounced in the second round. But it wouldn't surprise me if they lose the first round game.
I don't see who they beat.
Would they play like the 49ers the second round?
They play the 49ers. They play the Niners or like the Vikings, something like that. I just don't see like Tom Brady in the playoffs. It'd be in Tampa Bay as well. So it's not in Tampa Bay, Tom Brady in the playoffs. I'd go.
But I'll be surprised if they could make it far in the playoffs.
Yeah, that would surprise me. So again, another great game. We had Jags 40, Cowboys 34 in overtime. Our next game, we're gonna spend we're going to touch it. That's all. We had Saints 21, Falcons 18. Saints hang around in the division, so we'll give them that. I didn't see much of this game on Red Zone. I saw the Saints go up 14-0 early. I kind of just put this one on the back burner. I was like, this game's not going to matter. Turns out Falcons make it interesting late. Drake London has a fumble that kind of salts the game away. First start for Desmond Ridder. 97 passing yards, 38 rushing yards. Not a great performance. They're lacking some pieces. I just don't. Are they in a rebuild?
I think they're missing Calvin Ridley. That's what it is. They're missing another receiver.
In a rebuild. Well, Calvin Ridley they traded away.
They traded him.
That's right.
They traded away to Jacksonville. With that,
Jackson,
look
that's
out.
Gonna be scary.
Look out.
That's gonna be scary.
Yeah.
But Desmond Ridder, kind of a rough first start. I mean, Falcons Saints game. That's a big rivalry.
That's a big rivalry.
For
Yeah.
Those two teams. It's in New Orleans. Like I said, Falcons are very bad right now. So I liked what I saw from Ridder in the preseason. Granted, it was a preseason, but I saw Brock Purdy in the preseason. He looked pretty good. So
you never know.
Yeah. So I want to see how he progressed. Honestly, they threw him in too late. He should have been starter
a couple weeks ago.
He should have been starter after the Thursday night game of the Saints and Cardinals. He should have been who am I talking about?
Saints Falcons.
It should have been Falcons Panthers after that Thursday night game. He should have been starter.
So I think they move forward with Ridder. I think you give him a full year. Mariota was serviceable, but time to move on.
Yeah, because you're not going to get a quarterback, I don't think, this year.
No. You just drafted one.
Yeah, and also just try and get some more pieces to rebuild.
So again, that was Saints 21, Falcons 18. Saints kind of stay alive in the division. Now for Jalen's favorite segment.
How about those Lions?
We had Lions 20, Jets 17. Kind of made your heart race there late. Zach Wilson almost finds a way to get it done. I think you can blame the coaching. 3 timeouts with Jets get the ball back with a minute 54. They've got all 3 timeouts. They don't use a timeout until 19 seconds left, which I think everyone at home is screaming at their TV, what do you do? Use a timeout somewhere. And they almost didn't get a field goal off. I feel like that play, upon review, the time might have run out, but you had the ref coming in and blowing that one dead. They get the timeout. So I'm going to turn it over to Jalen, our Lions, bandwagon fan.
How about them Lions?
What do you got for us?
I saw Jared Goff. He didn't really have a bad game. He threw for 252. He had 1 TD. I mean, it wasn't a bad game. Amon, he was the top receiver in that game. He had the most receiving yards for the Lions in that game, so it wasn't really a bad game for both sides of the ball because it was a close game.
I would say a little disappointing for what we know the Lions' offense is capable of, putting up 20 points and only one touchdown.
Yeah, I think there's some missed opportunities there. Wasn't their best game, but a win's a win. I'm sorry, I don't have to purchase you a Jameson Williams.
I thought he was going.
My boy went ice cold.
He had nothing. He didn't have
Nothing.
anything.
And honestly,
Zip.
I think right now it'd be different if we didn't have a punt return.
Yeah.
The conversation would probably be very
Yeah.
different. So also you take that
you
away.
talking about Khalifa Raymond.
Yeah, you take that away. It'd be what?
I think you're looking at a
13?
17-13
Yeah,
game.
17-13
I mean, a low scoring. I mean, that kind of changed things around and gave the Lions a little bit of life. Credit the Jets. They played well. Their defense, did enough to keep them in the game. The problem is, the offense. My question is, if Mike White's in this game, do the Jets win or do you see the same result?
it's the same result because Zach Wilson had a Mike White like game. Like
Yeah.
the kind of yards Mike White would put up, the kind of touchdowns he put up, and he threw an interception. That's kind of a Mike White game. Big thing, rushing game was absolutely terrible this week.
Both sides.
Yep. Well, mainly the Jets, only 50 yards total. At least at least the Lions got over 100.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the
I really like that.
offensively.
I really like that duo, DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams.
They're a good combo.
Yeah.
They feed well off of each other. That their styles are similar but different enough where it keeps kind of defenses guessing.
Been a couple
they're a
weeks
good
since
combo.
Jamal Williams touchdown though.
Yeah, which is rare this year.
Yeah.
And again, Garrett Wilson doing his thing in New York. I think he's gone kind of under the radar again with 98 total receiving yards.
I knew he was terrible on fantasy wise. He was terrible with Zach Wilson. So don't draft Garrett Wilson if Zach Wilson is the quarterback. Don't draft him. He's terrible.
You heard it there. Again, that was our Lions 20, or Jalen's Lions 20, Jets 17. That keeps the Lions, right there in the playoff picture. And with a favorable schedule coming up, they've got a real chance at finding themselves in a playoff spot.
So my question is to y'all: do they keep playing Zach Wilson, or bring back Mike White and start him?
I think going back to Wilson and him, almost pulling this one off. I think they're gonna play Zach Wilson. I hate to say it. I just think
he's
they're
gonna play
it.
this week too.
He's a starter.
Yeah, he's pretty much gonna play this week, and he's the younger guy. And like I said, they had very similar stat lines. Like this would probably be the same outcome if Mike White was playing. So I just think younger guy, the guy you drafted second overall. I know whenever we talk about Trey Lance or anything, that's always what I bring up, but it's the truth. That's how these franchises think.
Yeah. Again, Lions 20, Jets 17. On to our next game, we had Eagles 25, Bears 20. There for a second, I was like, was I kind of right? I thought a sleeper game. Are the Eagles falling asleep against the Bears? I thought the Bears were going to really give them a run for their money. Jalen Hurts throws 2 interceptions in the first half. Justin Fields looks amazing for parts of this game using his legs, and he did set the single season record for the Bears rushing by a quarterback. I think he's just over 1,000 yards, maybe 1,000 on the dot. But yeah, a solid game here. Hurts has 17 carries, 61 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He's a monster when he gets in the red zone. Like I said, Fields 15 carries, 95 yards, and 2 passing touchdowns. But moving forward and looking ahead, Jalen Hurts is questionable, or is just breaking right before we started recording that he's questionable that he's going to play against the Cowboys next week.
Shoulder injury.
Some is saying doubtful, not questionable. Some people are saying doubtful.
Mm.
That brings in Gardner Minshew.
If he would play.
If he's playing.
It is the Cowboys, and they might just push him because, like we were talking about pre-show, if you play him against the Cowboys and just as much you don't want to hurt him, but like you kind of have to win that Cowboys game, because if you win the Cowboys game, it's an easy write-off.
Yeah.
So then you just throw in Gardner Minshew against the Saints, and Gardner Minshew with that team can easily beat the Saints.
Yeah.
For one game.
So again, the Eagles kind of find their way to win. They find Bears come back late, but I I don't think the game was ever, in question for the Eagles other than that first kind of quarter and a half. My question is, what's the key to stopping this Philly team?
Well, I'm looking. This is my first time I looked at the box score. AJ Brown, 9 receptions, 181 yards. Stop that. And that'd help. That'd help.
But
and
he still got Devontae Smith too, so
5 receptions, 126 yards.
yeah.
But hey, if you take away 181 yards, that helps a lot. And if you try your dandiest to eliminate Jalen Hurts' rushing ability, which is where all his touchdowns was running. So I don't know. Maybe some sort of team with the better secondary, with the better pieces defensively, can kind of figure out what Chicago did to force those interceptions and to keep them out of the end zone passing wise, and can kind of work that into a game plan. But I feel like that honestly that probably is going to be the biggest thing is you got to stop the passing. You got to limit AJ Brown, and if you can do that, I think you have your best chance to win.
Hold on, but don't go away from that running game. Their running game is good too. So I mean, what can you do?
But again, Chicago. I mean, besides Jalen Hurts, but Miles Sanders didn't have a great game this week. So if you just gotta, that's kind of what you have to do. You kind of take what these teams do, game plan wise, and you have to put that in your game plan to stop these big teams.
Yeah.
Kind of just put it a big puzzle piece. You know what I mean?
And I think you nailed it on the head. But both of you, half of it's stopping that passing game, and the run game might show up. I think you force the Eagles to think they're a throw first team instead of a run first team, and force Jalen Hurts into making those plays, which I think the Bears did. They kind of plugged up the run a little bit to where Eagles said, okay, we need to pass the ball, and got him off rhythm. And then from there, I think you spy the quarterback, spy Jalen Hurts, make sure he doesn't get out of the pocket, and then capitalize on those opportunities. But I think it goes back to the big thing, stopping AJ Brown and controlling who's getting the ball.
Because
he's good.
Like I said, you
He's real
take
good.
away half of those yards, maybe the Chicago wins.
It's crazy. 300 yards from 2 receivers with 0 touchdowns. How does that happen? How does AJ Brown have 180 something?
181.
181 yards, no touchdowns. I guess they get all the way down and then just say, "Here, Jalen, walk it in."
I mean, that's If you look at
The read option. I mean, that's basically what they run in.
Yeah, I mean,
Can we just kind of mention these next 2 games?
yeah. We'll brush over the next 2 again. That was Eagles 25, Bears 20. The next 2 games on our notes really have nothing. We had Steelers 24, Panthers 16. I did pick that one right. I do want to mention that because both of you had the Panthers. Odd game against 2 kind of struggling teams that are just kind of looking to finish out the year. This one I didn't see much on. You want to go ahead and skip over it. There's our segment for Steelers-Panthers, 24-16. After that, we had Cardinals 15, Broncos 24 in a game of 2 backup quarterbacks. Shout out to Latavius Murray. He sets his walker aside, gets on the field, and goes for 131 yards and a touchdown. This dude seems like he's played on every team in the NFL, going back to his days with the Saints and the Raiders. I mean, he was with Baltimore for a little bit. So
I remember on Old Man, he was always the go-to guy because how big he was.
Oh, yeah.
I loved him when he was with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I think he was with the Cowboys his first year, right?
Was he? Or was that DeMarco Murray?
Yes,
that's
DeMarco.
I think it's DeMarco. Maybe.
DeMarco Murray
I don't know.
yeah.
We'll look it up.
DeMarco Murray was a beast, too.
He was a beast.
He was a beast.
But Latavius Murray, goes for 130 yards and a touchdown. Broncos get 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns to put that game away. Broncos defense kind of held Colt McCoy and the Cardinals to limited, action. Did Colt McCoy play all the way through that game, or did they bring in another guy? It was McCoy all the way. So I didn't watch this one either. So we had Broncos 24, Cardinals 15. Then we get to talk about 2 very interesting games. We're going to start with this odd ending in the Patriots-Raiders game. We had Raiders winning this one 30-24 on the last play of the game.
Oh, no, yeah. Sorry. The Arizona game, Trace McSorley was playing.
McSorley, did he play the whole game?
Yeah, well, because McCoy had a concussion before
I'm
the
going to be
game,
honest, I didn't watch
so
this.
he was out.
Oh.
Yeah, no,
Which
I didn't
game?
watch it
I didn't
either.
watch this.
Which one?
the Cardinals and the Broncos.
Okay. I thought you were talking about the Patriots.
Oh,
Raiders.
I
Okay.
watched
I was
it.
about to say, you didn't see
I was like,
that?
whoa. All right, so yeah. So McSorley plays for the Cardinals. They lose. Those two games were just meh compared to the other two that we're about to talk about. Let's talk about this first one. Raiders 30, Patriots 24. For those of you who didn't see it or, are living under a rock, don't have social media, we'll walk you through it. So it's tied 24-24. Wait, let's go back
Here's
a little
what
bit
I
before
found.
that. That's my watch. They found the New England Patriots versus Raiders game. So the Patriots have the lead 24-17.
Yes, and then they threw. There was a controversial
Very.
touchdown.
How
Keelan Cole.
how did they
Oh,
rule
yeah,
that
the
inbounds?
The toe tap.
Yeah.
That was a good catch. I'm not
I mean,
gonna lie.
I know they only had that one camera angle of it for some reason, but even with that sky cam view, to me, his foot's halfway across the line. Is he not out of bounds there?
I don't. It is very confusing when they miss calls like that.
Like I see all these, they showed us that one replay, but yet we have games where there's a fumble at midfield and we have 12 different angles of it and they break it down. I feel like that the touchdown call was so quick and then the review was quick and it was, okay, it's a touchdown. And everybody has a head scratcher of his toes out. Half of his toes are across the line here, and they call that a touchdown. So that sets it at 24 apiece. Then chaos ensues when the Patriots are right around midfield. There's 2 seconds left when they snap the ball?
I think
And the
like
ball up to
2 or 3?
seconds later.
2 or 3 seconds left. They run a simple draw to Stevenson.
And it was a really good run too.
Yeah, and so my thought is that they didn't think they were going to get that far with it. I think they were just running a draw. They were going to milk the clock, go to overtime. Stevenson gets into the second layer of defenders here and finds himself, I think 15, 20 yards upfield, runs into a couple defenders and decides to pitch the ball, which I'm fine with the first one. Try to make something happen. For some reason, Jacoby Myers, my man Jacoby Myers, decides I'm going to get this thing and I'm going to find my quarterback who's 20 yards?
Yeah, he
20 yards back?
I mean, it's obvious to tell he wasn't a quarterback because he threw it into double coverage.
I mean,
there was 2 guys that were on Mac Jones.
Chandler Jones.
and Chandler Jones was just standing there.
Yeah.
Dude, he just
obviously
he caught the ball and just.
he's obviously Chandler Jones is gonna overpower Mac Jones.
Yeah.
Come on.
And I mean, he sat Mac Jones down.
He's just like with
That was a nice
If I'm Mac Jones, I'm grabbing a face mask. I'm grabbing. He's got to come down.
If I'm Josh, I'm putting Chandler Jones as a fullback.
Yeah,
Goal
why
line
not?
situations.
Why not?
Stiff somebody open.
So my 2 questions here is, I think all chaos ensued because Jacoby Myers and the Patriots came out and said that was all improvised, But did Jacoby Myers really think, I'm going to throw this ball back to Mac Jones and Mac Jones is going to bust this one for 75 yards down the other sideline? What was his thought process?
Yeah, Mac would have to run. Mac would have to run forward for him to be able to throw it back to somebody else. So
Yeah. So you're throwing it to the last guy back.
Yeah, there was no thinking.
Your quarterback, who's not known for his speed, and he's got 75 yards in front of him.
If you couldn't go, just get down.
Yeah. Play for overtime.
Just get down.
Crazy ending to that one.
Honestly, I watched the first half, a little bit of the third, and then whenever the Bengals and Buccaneers game went over, I immediately switched over and I just saw
that play.
The Raiders. No, I saw the Raiders player were huddling into the end zone, and the commentators were going crazy about oh, what a crazy ending.
Yeah.
We've never seen anything like this. What happened? How did I miss this?
That was wild. In this game, let's see. Derek Carr throws for 231 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. Josh Jacobs has an okay day, 22 rushing yards or 22 carries, 93 yards. They feed him a lot.
Yeah.
And then my last note here, good to see Darren Waller back, 3 receptions, 38 yards, and a touchdown. It's always good. We love our tight ends, Travis Kelce.
Yeah, and we are Chiefs fans, but I love
Darren, great story.
Used to be a
great player.
Used to be a alcoholic.
Yeah. Bad too, real bad. Football kind of turned his life around. He got on the right track, and a great story. Good to see him back out on the field. My question from this one: any moves in the offseason for Pats at quarterback? they stick with Mac Jones? Do they give Zappy a try? They have gone to Zappy in the season, but do they continue rolling with these two guys?
Since they just got Mac Jones, I say they don't get a quarterback. I think for right now they should start with Zappy and see how he plays, and just bench Mac Jones for right now.
Yeah, I think Zappy brings a little more life.
I would not bench Mac until you're officially eliminated for the playoffs. I wouldn't bench him until then. But I would like to see what Bailey can do with the team. I think maybe he had a good game against the Packers.
Oh, yeah.
He played really well, came in, threw a couple touchdowns. So, yeah, I'd like to see what he can do, but I just think until you're officially out of the playoffs, you play Mac.
Yeah. Again, that was a wild ending in the Raiders 30, Patriots 24 game. Keeps the Raiders alive, too. I know they're really outside looking in, but it gives them hope. So, again, Raiders 30, Patriots 24.
That could be scary.
Yeah.
Dude, they just got Darren Waller back, and they have a good slot receiver, Hunter Renfrow, and still got Devontae. I think that offense might be pretty scary now.
Yeah.
Because Darren Waller,
especially if they get hot.
Yeah, he's not bad. I really like Darren Waller.
Our next game is Bengals 34, Bucks 23. Jalen and I had the Bucks. Our pick was looking phenomenal going into halftime. I'm like, oh, Cincinnati's not doing anything. And then the Bucks completely fall apart in the second half. They go into halftime, like I said, up 17-3. They stalled the Bengals offense all half. Tom was looking good. Defense was playing well. Burrow was under pressure. Jamar wasn't getting, the receptions he was used to. And then they came out and just kind of stunk.
That's because Carlton Davis, Sean Murphy-Bunting were absolutely
they were
locking down.
locked
in.
Yeah. I think as soon as T. Higgins scored that touchdown, that's where they started the momentum.
I actually think when it happened was, I don't know if you remember, the end of the first half, the Bengals, they went on a pretty good drive to get a field goal.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of where it started to change because the Buccaneers, honestly, they kind of, at the end of it, they kind of just started to give up on that half. They just and we're just going to get half. And then they gave away three points.
So was that 17-6 at halftime then? Or was it 3?
It was 17-3.
3? Okay. So, with the second half kickoff, I have written down the notes here. Here's the drive summary to start the second half. We had Bucks fumble on a fake punt on their own 26. Miscommunication hits the dude right in the head. I mean, if he catches it, it's a first down. He's got clear daylight running to the left. But miscommunication, so they fumble. Cincinnati kicks a field goal. The Bucks have their interception. Cincinnati goes down, scores a touchdown. Bucks fumble, Cincinnati touchdown, Bucks interception. So just wheels completely falling off. You're up 17-3 start the third quarter, and then all of a sudden you're down 27-17. The huge turning point, I think, and you mentioned the touchdown by T. Higgins, but right before that, Joe Burrow takes a sack of 26 yards. He's running straight backwards, takes the sack when it was 17-6. And then it was all wiped out by a defensive holding on, I believe, Levante Davis on Jamar Chase. And it kind of looked like they got tied up, and then Jamar almost looks like he grabs his arm to make it look like it's holding.
No, that was a good holding call because that was so unnecessary by Levante, especially.
I mean, Joe Burrow's running backwards. He's not even looking.
Especially by how long Levante's been playing. He's been playing forever.
He knows better.
Yeah, he knows better. He's one of the best linebackers of the 2010s. He knows better to not do that stuff.
And so, like I said, right there, Tampa Bay could get off the field. They don't. They give up the first down, and then T. Higgins goes ahead with the touchdown, I believe, 2 plays later, right after that. Joe Burrow throws 4 touchdowns in this game, all in the second half. My question is, do the Bengals have what it takes to make a deep playoff run this year? They've got a test with Buffalo late in the season. Teams may rest some guys at that point. They're kind of a scary team when they're all healthy and playing well.
For right now, easy, yes, that they do have what it takes to make a deep run. But that Bills game is going to be a big test to see if they can make the run to Super Bowl again. I'm really going to be looking forward to that. But, I want to see how the Bills game plan to stop them, because that's the big thing is it's very hard to stop this team because they can run and they can pass. And there's not an easy way to stop it.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see how it plays. Because also I like the Bills team, but the biggest question mark for me is the secondary, the DB room. That's kind of the question mark for me. So if you can't kind of figure out how to, like, this DB room, the Buccaneers DB room is a lot better than the Bills, and this is this is how troubled they were. But they did do good the first half. But I just want to see if the Bills or the Bengals can kind of keep up it all the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna be a test for both teams too.
I say it might be a high scoring game. The Bills and the Bengals.
Yeah, and I know that game next week?
It's 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Honestly,
Who knows if they sit people at that point? They might have things locked up.
They can't.
I get with Baltimore losing, that makes it. I guess the Bills can't though.
Yeah.
Because
if
we win that,
if they sit and lose, then we get
That's
and we
right.
win.
We can
out.
try to
That'd be a high profile.
So actually,
game.
yeah, you're right. Let's send them out. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go. Why not? The scary thing too is the Bengals are right on the heels of the Chiefs as well, seeding wise. You look at that, we could find ourselves in the 3 seed.
Cross our fingers, knock on wood. We're looking good for it.
Yes,
So
we're looking all right.
But yeah, knock on wood, hopefully.
You never know. It's the NFL. You never know. Everyone's a pro football player.
That's what I say.
Some team,
Anyone can win any
anyone can win any week, and it kind of proves that. Next game, again, that was Bengals 34, Bucks 23. Next game, kind of a snoozer. Titans 14, Chargers 17. Kind of an odd game, like I said, from both sides. Eckler goes down for a minute early. You have Tannehill going down. The shot from him watching from the tent was pretty cool, seeing him peek out of the mesh tent, and then he goes back to the locker room for a little bit. Ends up coming back. I think this game was tied 7-7 from like 10 minutes in the second quarter to almost, I believe, like the fourth quarter.
Like the mid fourth quarter, like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, the teams both decide to wake up and both find themselves getting a touchdown. I believe Eckler scored for
ran it into a touchdown.
That's right, rushing touchdown, and then the Titans come back and score. And then, Herbert makes an unbelievable throw to Keenan Allen. Good to see Keenan Allen back too. Chiefs fans, I hate seeing Keenan Allen just because he's so reliable. Jalen, what do you see from this one?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't really watch the game, but I watched like clips of it. I saw clips of like Derrick Henry. He didn't. What I'm looking at right now, he had 104 rushing yards, and I think what the Titans did, they moved away from the running game and started to pass the ball.
Yeah.
What I wanted them to do was to stick with the running game.
And I think, Derrick Henry is interesting because I feel like he's when you're that big of a dude and you're playing 15 to 18 weeks in the NFL, that takes a toll on you. And I've seen his production, kind of his motor kind of go down these past couple of games. I just think he's worn out.
Well, I heard the commentator say that
Henry.
No,
Henry.
Actually, it was before, like, the CBS when they talk. I heard Nate Burleson was talking about when you put a lot of people in the box against the Titans, what can you do? And then when you throw
There's just a lot of bodies.
Yeah. So when they throw the ball, the Titans, they really have a good. I wouldn't say they really have a good pass game, but they can pass the ball. So
yeah,
I just think they rely on their run game heavy.
Ashton,
any comments from this one?
I think if somehow Tennessee stays as the division leader, I think they're going out first round because right now they'd be slated to play the Ravens, who by that time you would expect to have Lamar back. And I think really no matter what team, honestly, I think every single team in the playoffs. I think Tennessee's the worst team in the AFC playoffs.
What do the standings look like in the Ravens division?
The Ravens division. So the Ravens is second. They're 9-5. Bengals is 10-4. And then
so Ravens right now are a wild card team.
Yeah, and the Browns and Steelers are honestly.
Do the Ravens make the playoffs, or does somehow
they'll
you
make
think
it. They have a good enough cushion, and I feel like
Who do they play?
They're playing.
Because without Lamar, they do not look good.
They're playing the Falcons, the Steelers, and the Bengals.
Okay, they'll be all right.
They'll be good.
Quick notes there. Herbert throws for 313 yards. No touchdowns. Allen has 8 receptions for 86 yards and made that kind of big play down the sideline to kind of seal that one. And they get the last-second field goal for the win. So, again, that was Chargers 17, Titans 14. That brings us to Sunday Night Football. So we'll cover this Sunday Night Football. We'll make our Monday night predictions. I'm sure this will get uploaded after the game, so we'll have to see if our predictions are right. But we had the Giants 20, Commanders 12. Again, these two teams tied last time around. It looked like we were heading for a tie again this time around because I believe they would have gone to overtime. Some way this game's going to end in a tie.
PI call.
So we had Giants 20, Commanders 12. Jalen's going to lead us off. The last play, pass interference?
I call that pass interference. I mean, he's literally over his back, like hugging him. I'm saying that's a pass interference call.
I agree. I think it's pass interference, but the problem, and I don't think why it got called, was no one sold it. Heineke wasn't saying anything. I believe it was Curtis Samuel. He just kind of dropped to his knees and was like, well, we lost. No one really sold it where you see other teams, Mahomes would be looking for a flag. Kelsey's looking for a flag. Jamar Chase looks for those flags. And you kind of have to sell it to get these refs to bite on it when it's clear and obvious like that, but they might be shielded depending on the angle that they have.
I mean, big play Darnay made a big play on the final play, stop the pass. But what I want to talk about, and everyone in my family hates this name because how much I talked about him, Kayvon Thibodeau. He is a dog. He is 10 times better than Aiden Hutchinson. He'll be better than Trayvon Walker. He should have been the first pick. He's a dog. He will be. When we look back at it, he'll be the best player from this draft class. I guarantee you. I guarantee it.
I do feel like he was in the backfield all night, giving Heineke fits.
I'll read his. Just amazing.
Go for it.
Game.
What's he got?
12 tackles, 9 solo, 1 sack, 3 tackles for loss, 1 quarterback hit, and 1 touchdown.
I mean, what more can you ask for?
It's an elite game by a rookie.
Yeah. There's
Rookie.
nothing other to say than,
better than
dominance.
Better than the Lions, Aiden Hutchinson.
Well, we like our Lions wide receivers. I don't know about our defense.
Yeah.
My other comment here, Saquon Barkley, kind of, they're late. He had that drive where they handed the ball off to him 4 straight times, spin move after spin move, 10 yards, 11 yards. He was feeling it. He hasn't really been in a lot of big-time games for this Giants team just because they haven't played in many. But, he could find himself carrying this team kind of into the playoffs.
I would say, though, Saquon Barkley, definitely, they got to bring him back this year. Really good. I think Daniel Jones, still questionable. Maybe that can be a question here.
Yeah.
But I want to say, though, if you didn't watch the game, you just box score to watch it. You probably thought it was kind of a boring game, but honestly, it was a really fun game to watch.
It was back and forth. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat the whole time.
I really enjoyed this game. It was a lot of fun.
I was the Terry McLaurin call. That was kind of got me because he looked at the ref and did this.
Yeah.
The refs didn't give no type of sign or anything.
So
I saw he was just waiting to throw the flag. I was like, oh.
I was going to bring that up. So I watched an interview because I was curious about that too. Because a lot of times you see wide receivers check, and usually officials will give them a thumbs up or a head nod, or they'll tell them to scoot up a little bit. So I watched an interview, and he said, I looked over, I pointed. The first time he told him to scoot up a little bit. And if you notice on film, he scoots up, but I don't think he didn't scoot up enough. And then he goes to point again, and on the second point, he never makes eye contact with the official. I think if he makes eye contact there, he may say scoot up again. But I think because he didn't make eye contact and the play started, he still wasn't on the line. Kind of an unfortunate event, but at the same time, you're an NFL wide receiver. You got to know those things. You got to double.
$70 million.
Yeah, I mean, you got to double, triple check that you're where you're supposed to be, and it happens. I get it, but at the same time, you shouldn't put that in the official's hands. Double, triple check. Okay, he told me to scoot up. I got to scoot up. I got to check with him again before we snap this ball. And I think it was kind of rushed. Obviously, you'd like to have that one back because they do score on that play. But
also, we're talking about running backs. Great game by Brian Robertson. 12 carries, 89 yards. Pretty good for 12 carries.
I mean, the man got shot two times in the leg.
He's
right before the season starts. Fun fact, I was at my fantasy draft, and we were late, deep into the draft.
I drafted him, and then he got shot a day later.
Okay, eight or we were in round 8 or 9. I'm looking at him like, I'm going to draft Brian Robinson. My phone goes off, and it goes, Brian Robinson shot. I'm like, huh?
I was in the round before the last round. Brian Robinson, he gets shot.
I'm like, this is a steal.
I watched him at Bama. I was like, yes, he's
going to be good. He's a patient runner.
I like it. I like Brian Robinson. He's really good.
patient runners. That kind of whenever I think about is Le'Veon
I was
Bell.
just
Yeah.
going to say that. He reminded me of Le'Veon Bell so much.
Because Le'Veon Bell was one. I mean, I've only lived 15 years, but the greatest I've ever seen do that.
Yeah.
Like, he wait till his line, get the blocks, come up to the line of scrimmage, and then make his cut. I really like that.
And I think, too, how he stands out, Le'Veon Bell was a very horizontal side to side. He was able to use that jump cut. I don't see Brian Robinson going as much side to side. He still picks him out, but when he finds that hole, he goes. And I think sometimes Le'Veon gets dinged for that because, he has a hole, but he's so back and forth. He doesn't gain as many yards.
I mean, he's a rookie, so he still got time to grow. So.
It's harder for Brian to move across because how he's a bigger
big
body.
dude.
So
Yeah.
it's harder for it's like Le'Veon. He was a bit more quicker. He wasn't as big as Brian, so
Yeah.
it's harder for Brian to move across like that.
And so that,
I say Washington found themselves for running back.
yeah, I think so. I think you
I really liked Antonio Gibson. But
I hate him because last year he was terrible for me in fantasy.
Butterfingers, he kept fumbling all over the place. So yeah, I agree. I think Brian Robinson's the future there in Washington. They love him, and I mean, why not? Great story. I think great kid. My question here is, Commanders find themselves in that odd situation. You still have Carson Wentz. Let's not forget about Carson Wentz, but you have Taylor Heineke. I mean, do you just keep rolling with Heineke? He makes play. He's got that Heineke. I know they mentioned it on the broadcast. Thank you. Broadcast last night of that pixie dust that he brings, just odd plays. He finds ways to put his team in good position. Is he a reliable quarterback in the NFL, or are they going to have to be kind of QB shoppers this offseason?
I'd say they have to be QB shoppers, but like if you don't get anyone, I don't think you're like with your head down.
Yeah.
"Dang, we didn't get the guy.
What
Yeah.
pick do they have this year?
They have like a mid first round.
I think they'd have to trade.
Yeah, they'll have to. Well, they'll have to trade to get someone that like actually maybe like.
Could you
starts,
package like a
because the-
Gibson and a Wentz together?
Well, but the problem is like. I think day one, like to come in and start, C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young are the only guys that can do that.
Yeah.
So, and those are going to be the hardest guys to get. So,
Yeah.
Why would you waste an early first round pick on a guy that you're just going to have developing and competing with Tyler Heineke when you have a lot of other holes on your roster that you need to fill out?
Yeah.
Also, I would love to see Chase Young come back for this team, man. They really need him.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to see how.
It's crazy. I mean, they've got a great run defense, and they've been missing him all year.
I really like that group. It was like, it's Montez Sweat, Chase Young,
Deion Payne, Jonathan Allen.
Jonathan Allen.
Big dudes.
They're
Did
really
you see
good.
Chase
Young
Young
guys.
on the sideline last night? By the way,
Yes.
my man looked like a lion. He had his winter coat on with all the fur. I mean, he looked like a lion. I'm like, whoo. Yeah, exciting when he gets back, and maybe he's back before the season ends, and they find themselves in the playoffs. So again, that was Giants 20, Commanders 12. That wraps it up for our NFL recap. We'll give you a little bonus action. Let's talk Monday Night Football. We're doing this on the fly here. So we have Rams at Packers, right? Mm-hmm. Rams at Packers. Baker Mayfield starting for the Rams tonight against Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Both teams kind of trending in a downward direction. Not great seasons out of either one. I know beforehand we talked about, if the Packers lose here, is it time to bench Aaron Rodgers and let Jordan Love finish out the season? If they win here, is it still time for them to do that? I mean, I don't think either team is in contention for playoffs. And
You heard about the Sammy Watkins?
no, what happened to Sammy Watkins?
They
cut him.
About time. I'm gonna be honest.
I really liked Sammy Watkins when he was with the Chiefs.
When he was with the Chiefs, yeah. When he was a little younger, yeah. I didn't mind Sammy Watkins, but he's up there in age. Production was way down this year.
Injuries is always up.
Yeah, and Watson's playing well for Green Bay.
I like Christian Watson.
Still going
I need
off.
him to go ham. If I went with my fantasy game, I need him to go ham.
Have we heard anything about Romeo Dubs? Is he out for the year?
Nothing on the injury report.
Huh.
Let me check.
Maybe he was on the IR.
Aaron
and just
Donald
hadn't
is
come
out,
back.
so I'm gonna.
Aaron Donald's out.
I'm gonna stick with
Wow.
my Packers.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I think we all went Packers in this
Yeah,
one.
we did.
But Baker Mayfield, he did win a game on the last drive.
No Aaron Donald, no win. It's
That simple.
I mean, he does create a lot of their pass rush. So.
He's one of the greatest players I've ever seen.
Yeah, and
I hate so much because I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of a Rams fan and a Chiefs fan. I was a bit more of a Rams fan because I got like a lot of family in St. Louis, so I was a bit more Rams.
Mhm.
I was so mad whenever they moved to LA
LA.
because of all these pieces, and you kind of could tell that they were building something nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think last week you can kind of chalk up the Baker magic to just everything happening. I mean, who doesn't love a story? A quarterback comes in Tuesday, ends up winning Thursday night football with limited offense. I think everything catches up to him here. He's still Baker Mayfield. He's not elite. Packers defense is pretty solid. They're playing in the cold.
I don't see anything on the injury report about Romeo Dobbs. Like anything.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is weird. I thought he had an injury where he would be out for a couple weeks.
He might be on the IR. I don't know.
Well, no, I was looking at the IR. He's not
even listed there.
No.
So maybe he plays tonight. Who knows? So are we sticking Packers around?
Sticking Packers.
Yeah. I mean, I don't expect a high-scoring game tonight. I think both defenses, even with Aaron...
I do think it could be a sneaky fun game to watch.
I think so. Why not?
Yeah.
I think, Packers have turned into a run-first team this year, especially with limited wide receivers. But like we said, Watson coming on late. You never know. They could light up the scoreboard, or it could be back and forth, a close game. But I think Packers defense is just going to be too much for Baker in this limited Rams offense without Cooper Kupp and, the trio of running backs they have now. Who knows who's going to start? You guys got any more comments for this one?
We'll just see who wins tonight.
There we go. This has been another episode 6, right?
Yes.
Of Fifth Block Sports. This is our Monday recap. Good news, we'll have one more show this week. It'll change. It'll be on Thursday, actually. So join us Thursday for our kind of breakdown and our regular show. Again, find us on YouTube. Go check out our Twitter. Go to gonorthman.org if you want to just listen straight to the podcast. Check out those other podcasts on there, The Chop. Check out the stories these kids are writing as well. There's a lot of energy and time spent on the Go Northman website by our into class. A lot of student reporters and stuff like that. They're doing great things. So go check that out. It's always good to see students in action and making an impact and spreading the word of Oak Park sports. But like I said, this has been another edition of Fifth Block Sports. I'm Zach.
Jalen.
Ashton. Thursday's gonna be a lot of fun. Don't miss it.
Don't miss Thursday. Don't miss it. You won't want to miss it. Ashton's going to have a lot of stuff. I'm not even going to tell him what it is. It's just going to be fun.
I'm just ready for Sunday so I can see them live.
What about the Chiefs?
You know, I'm always.
Oh, actually, Saturday, not Sunday.
It is Saturday.
Saturday.
So we'll talk about the Saturday games. We'll give you the Chiefs breakdown, the Chiefs preview. We'll talk a little Lions for Jalen. But again, thank you for joining us. Fifth Block Sports, we are out.